Hello, everybody. Man, I am so happy to be here again because it's been a minute since I've interviewed anybody, and I can't think of somebody I would like to talk to more than Tanisha Smith, who's just this amazing woman that came into my life through Kevin Bracey's First Step for Speakers program. We were basically in the same group, and so we would meet once a week and talk about speaking. And I just love her energy, her positivity, her creativity, and the adventurous spirit that she has. I really, really connect to that. So to start off, Tanisha, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in life and in business, and then we'll talk a little bit more and go more into depth about some other things.
All right. Thank you, Janice, so much. Right now, gosh, I've been in HR for 23 years. So right now I've been consulting for the last 4. So that's my current consulting from home is my current thing that I'm doing now. Prior to the pandemic, I was working in client offices. And so I thought that was going to be the projection of my business. I was going to be able to drive around and go from office to office and see all my clients. And then the pandemic happened. And so I've been doing consulting online, which is great. It's a whole new avenue that I didn't even think about. And I've been doing that, this entire time. I've gone from 8 clients to 24 clients during the pandemic. And now while I'm very busy, and I can explain how the client work works, while I'm very busy, it actually is manageable that I'm working remotely. So here currently in the Henderson, Nevada, by way of California. That was just a quick move that I did last month based on the pandemic, sitting at home all the time, looking for something different to do, wanted to change my scenery. And so I moved from California to Henderson, but I still kept the same client group. So right now, just working, still trying to travel safely. That's one of the things that I love doing. So I'm doing that a little bit and enjoying life right now.
I love that answer. To end with enjoying life right now is very powerful and awesome. And tell me a little bit about how you got into speaking and what is it about speaking that draws you and why you want to do more speaking.
Absolutely. So for me, I've been speaking since I was in high school. For the most part, it was something that would happen. It was automatic because I was in a school to where they wanted other students to be able to speak up to other high school students. And so I started speaking at the high school. And then from the high school program, I went into speaking at different college levels program, just about my experience. The backstory is I'm a single, was then, but a single young parent. And being a part of the program, they asked around for different people who wanted to go to different high schools and speak. And I signed up for it. And then at the same time, I was like, what did I just sign up for? What am I about to do? It was the best thing I could have done at 17 years old. I was 16 when I had my daughter, but at 17 years old was the first time I did my speaking at a high school. And I was at Santa Clara High School. It was the first time I did a speaking opportunity. And the school was like, do you want to do it again? We have another school we want to have you speak at. Would you like to do it again? And I started off as a panel, and then it became something to where I was just signing up to do on my own to be able to talk to different students. And so that really, the topic was really about like, how are you doing it? What were the struggles as a teen parent? It really was to detour other students from becoming a teen parent, but also at the same time for me, I think it was one of those things where I am going to try to detour you to waiting to have a child, but also at the same time, show you that you don't have to fail. You can still finish high school. You can still go to college. You can still have a life that you want to live, though you became a teen parent. It's not the worst thing that could have happened in your life. So that was definitely a crazy time for me, and a balance that I had to do so early on. Other than that, subsequently, I've been speaking at different events, whether it be a women's event. I just actually got off a phone call with someone where they reached out through one of my provisor groups, and then we were talking about just parenting in general. And it was one of those things that she didn't know I was a speaker and I enjoy speaking. She didn't know any of my background other than me being in HR. And so we have this conversation for about 50 minutes about just life and, how to just let go as a parent, how to allow your kids to grow up and be their own human being without us being so hovering. And I get off that call with her and she's like, you should be speaking. I was like, kind of do. And it's what I love.
Well, I mean, that's amazing that you actually were a motivational speaker at the age of 17 years old. Basically, that's based on maybe hardship or an experience that you went through, then you could impart your wisdom and knowledge to that group of people at such an early age. So, I mean, I think that's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
Thank you. See, learned something new about me today.
So that
I
makes
think
sense.
it made me go dig. So I think even that experience with us being with Kevin Bracey, being a mentor and someone trying to get us to our greatness of where we wanted to be, that those exercises that we did for weeks was really getting me to thinking about the beginning. Why did I want to become a speaker? What's our why, right? We talk about that every single time we were together. And I really couldn't explain my why. I couldn't, without being able to say, where did it come from? What is my why today versus, where did this drive and ambition come from? And I really had to think back, when did I start speaking? When, what made me excited about speaking? And I think to have adults get excited and people stand up and then clap for you, that was all reassuring that I was either saying something that made sense or something that related to people. That was a feel good moment. Like I didn't need to kind of like, save the world and build a well. I was just able to tell my story and be, articulate and as, forthright as I could be. And that response that I got from people, just, the gentle smiles of, oh, okay, thank you for sharing, just was a relief for me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this might be something that I want to do. It's not so hard to stand in front of a crowd. That's always a fear of, for people to kind of get in front of people and fear either rejection or forgetting your speech. But for me, I got up and did it.
That is amazing. So on that topic of kind of hard things in life, what was one hard thing from your past, your childhood or adolescence or whatever, that you feel like you have overcome?
I'll answer it because overcome is still something I'm still overcoming it. And I think the hard thing for me that still resonates in something, you speak it out and so you can get it out. And maybe this exercise here is pushing me forward to kind of getting over it and overcoming something. But I think for me is the reassurance from my mother that I was doing the right thing. If no one else told me I did a good job, if no one else even witnessed, a speaking event, or I used to dance in front of people. I used to be on a debate team. It was, if no one else said good job, I was always looking for my mom to, and she wasn't that personality. That just wasn't her thing to give you all these extra kudos and praise and things like that. And if I came home with my grades and they were like all A's and 1B, and I said, look at my grades, I did great, it's better than last quarter. She'd be like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. And she would just go on and doing what she was doing. It was never like, great job, congratulations. And I think for me at 40 plus years old now, I was still looking for her kind of reassurance that I did something well, even, getting my bachelor's degree. And then I got a master's degree, and bachelor's degree, she came to the graduation. Master's degree, she was like, we just did this 2 years ago. So we got to go in. I don't want to sit for 4 hours. And she didn't come. And so those are things, just kind of getting over those things, because it's kind of one of those things where constantly needing, and maybe it wasn't constant, but in my mind, I needed her reassurance. No one else could say anything and I'd be totally fine. But I always wanted her to kind of just acknowledge, and I didn't get it. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, we laugh about it, but that's so relatable. And yeah, when we're children, it's like we're looking for this approval and validation from our parents. And truly, if that's lacking or inconsistent or we don't get it, it's almost like we bring that into adulthood and we're looking to prove our worth and to prove something to then get this love and acceptance and that kind of feeling. So it's very relatable. And tell us something super interesting about yourself that might surprise people.
Maybe I'll ramble off a couple and see. I am a mother of five. I also have had, I've been a surrogate twice. So for an amazing family, I was one family, I was a surrogate twice to the family. I am definitely someone who is definitely a lifelong learner about, and that's not, not a surprise to, wouldn't be a surprise, but it's one of those things like I want to learn so much about life. So right now I just currently did a move from California to Henderson, Nevada, but I'm planning on traveling the world and seeing every country if I can, if, good Lord says saying, I'll be able to see every country. This is just like a home base right here, but I plan on, as soon as the pandemic opens up, to be able to be in a different country, if not every week, every twice, visiting two countries in 1 week to get through them all. And really, and at some places I want to stop and I really appreciate it. I did a month in Mexico in October, Tulum, Mexico, and I came home and did another month in Playa del Carmen, just to kind of just be somewhere else. I'm a California girl, born and raised, lived there all my life, but I wanted to do something different. So I'm really a big explorer in life, and I feel like I've given myself, but now I need to give back to myself, and I think that's what I'm trying to do now.
Oh, that is so good. That I love that adventurous spirit. I think I share that with you. And so when I see people traveling or doing some hard things, but truly living and embracing life, it just excites me. And I think it's amazing. So what's something, one step or a tip or a thought or idea that you could tell somebody who feels like they're struggling to really create a life that they love, or a life that excites them? What's something you could say to somebody like that feels a little bit stuck?
Gosh, there's so many approaches to that, but I think I definitely have. I've had to get myself unstuck from multiple different situations. I was a mom of five raising kids, and I remember being stuck in my mind, because that's what it's, a lot of it's a mindset, stuck in my mind that for the rest of my life, I'm just going to be a mom. For the rest of my life, I'm just going to have to like barely make it from paycheck to paycheck. The rest of my life, I'm not going to be able to travel. I'm not going to be able to do things. And as soon as I got out of my own way and out of the stuck mentality of this is my situation, and kind of thought like, how can I change this? What can I do to make one step at a time? How can I make this different for myself? I couldn't travel alone at the time, and I couldn't afford to go far, but I started with small trips traveling with my kids. So it got me a little bit unstuck from just being at home and just being, kind of there. And then also, kind of the feeling of just being a mom. Like, who is Tanisha? I was a mom at 16 years old, pregnant at 15, mom at 16. I had to finish out that last couple of years of high school with a baby. So for me, how can I find out who I am aside from the kids when I have the kids up under me all the time? It was a lot of cry sessions in the shower. And really just visualization of what I wanted to be able to do. And so I did a lot of visual. I don't know if you've heard of that, but really visualizing what I wanted. I saw it. I'd close my eyes and kind of have that little dream of where I wanted to be. If we closed our eyes now and dreamt about like exactly the place we want to be and saw it, I did that over and over again. And I took what I saw, and I start walking down the streets in Mexico by myself freely. And I was there, though I was in my shower with the kids knocking at the door, fingers underneath the doorway, trying to get in, but I was visualizing where I wanted to be. It took some time to kind of get to the point where I can travel and things on my own. I had to wait till they got older, but I never lost sight of what I wanted. And so for me, if you're feeling stuck, you can't go to school. My last thing to that, I will say, because it was something that was really hard. It was really hard for me to go back to college because I felt like I was stuck. I have these kids, I work full time, and I have to work full time to pay the bills, but I also have the kids, and I didn't have a full time someone to watch them after they got out of daycare, right? Yeah, I have daycare for the day, but not in the evenings and weekends when I have to go to school and study groups. So how can I get past this? And so for me, I had to be very creative on how I can get the time to kind of just go to school. And it really came down to just do it. Stop feeling guilty about the things that you cannot, change. There's excuses and there's reasons. I can make excuses all day, and then there's reasons that will actually stop you. but there's some excuses, plenty of them I was making for myself. And so my thing is to get unstuck, stop, think about your excuses and reasons, chart it out, write down here, I want to go to college, but, I don't have anyone to watch the kids, how can I find somebody, find that situation, figure out how to get someone to watch the kids. And from there, I don't have the funds. I don't have time to study. When you can answer all those questions, like when will I find this time to study? I have to work 8 to 5, but I have a lunch period. I have 2 break periods. I'm going to read I'm going to read during that time, or I'm going to extend my daycare and have someone help me watch. It might cost me a little bit more, but I'm going to have someone watch them so I can finish a paper. And I would stay at work and finish my papers. So
see, and the mindset of that is so inspirational. It totally reminds me of when I was running the marathon, looking over and seeing a blind man running right next to me. It literally, I get choked up to this day when I think about that, because of all the people that could have an excuse. I mean, he has an excuse, like, no, I can't see. But it's just that mindset shift of like, well, maybe I'm not going to finish fast, and maybe it's not, but I can do it. And I'm going to do it in the way that I can. I'm going to have my cane. I'm going to have my person helping me. And you figure out a way, kind of like what you were just talking about. And that to me is so inspiring. And I just feel like, man, you're awesome.
Thank you
for making that work and happen for yourself, and ultimately for your kids too. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the self-love component. How do you define self-love? And then how do you show your self-love?
The hardest thing to do for me was to have the self-love and to show myself self-love, because it was a guilt factor that I had. If I feed all the love into me, but I have all these kids, I just didn't have enough love to spread around between 5 kids and myself. They got, the love. And so self-love is so important. I mean, I think it's helped me to kind of manifest the life that I really wanted, outside of being the mom, outside of being Tanisha, the HR person, Tanisha, the daughter, sister, cousin. The self-love was so important in kind of manifesting, if you will, or kind of getting that time to take for myself took to not just therapy. It took time. I will say my self-love journey started. It was ironic how this happened. So I was going to a therapist, a marriage therapist, marriage family counselor therapist, and she would split us up. So it'd be myself and my husband at the time. And then she would split us up and we'd have one-on-one sessions. And in one of my one-on-one sessions, she really did talk about, I told her I was, we were getting divorced. We were living separately at this point. I have the kids. He comes over to my house to help out with the kids because he's, in a situation where the kids can't go to his house. So I never got a break. I mean, my husband had to come to my house to spend time with the kids. But my break was when I went to work. My break was when I went to school. And she said, that's not a break. She said, I need you to spend time with yourself. I need you to figure out if you even like yourself. And now, granted, I was like, of course I like myself. The first weeks and months that I had to try to spend time with myself, not working, not shopping, not something that was going to distract myself, just being by myself and with myself was the hardest thing ever. Because I was like, I don't know. I'm a little kind of OCD about some certain things. I'm a little high strung at times. I learned so much about myself through the self-love process that helps me, I'm sure, for all my relationships, my friends, my family relationships, because I got to know who I was aside from the 16-year-old that I always had trapped in my head that was always just going to be a mom and always was just going to barely make it. And I love myself. I love being with myself. I love me time. It is wonderful.
And how long did it take you to transition to that, from it being uncomfortable, kind of sitting in silence and getting to know yourself and having that awareness, to being like, yes, I love Tanisha?
It took a while. I would say at least it was a journey. And I'll say a journey because it wasn't overnight. And it's still sometimes where I have to remind myself that it's okay to just love on myself a little bit more. When a new situation arises, it's okay. During the pandemic was one of those things. My kids are They were, I'll say in short, it took some time. But one of the things that happened during the pandemic, every other year, my kids were going between Florida, where their dad is, to California, and they would switch schools. And that happened for 3 years. Well, this school year was supposed to be my school year where they were supposed to be here in California. And I'm in Henderson now, but they were supposed to be with me for the school year. And the kids said, well, no, Florida schools are open. We can actually go to school. We dealt with the pandemic at the end of the year and we couldn't go in class. We're going to stay in school out here. And the guilt factor of, well, I'm supposed to, like, it's my turn to be a parent. And if I'm not a parent, then what else am I supposed to do? And I was like, love on myself. It's okay. Give them some love from the distance, but continue to love on myself and get to know myself. I think that was this every other year thing with the kids. And these are the younger two. The older kids are grown and they are in their own place. But with the younger two, this every other year gave me time to get to know myself. When I first started my business was the first year that they went to dad's. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to not have them with me. And I wasn't ready to have this business to myself and be self-employed. So for, I would say 7 out of the 12 months, I was epically failing to love on myself, to really work on my business, because it was so many things in my mind, and the fact that my kids weren't there. I didn't feel stable at all. And I had to really remind myself, thankfully, someone came into my life and had said, this is your time. Because I had brought it up and they were like, this is your time to get your business off the ground. Use that effort and that energy you're putting into worrying about the kids being in Florida, not with you. Use that effort and energy on yourself, getting to know yourself, getting to know how you want your business to be run. And then you can circle back on, just checking in with the kids. You're not going to be gone. This is just the situation you have right now.
Oh, that's good. So just the acceptance of what is, and then funneling your energy into something that you can actually control and create versus something that, you don't have control over that. So why put all that energy and anxiety or stress or whatever you're feeling into
all of it?
Yeah. So we are almost out of time, but I want to ask you this one last question. If this was the last thing that the people listening to you right now heard, the very last thing that they were going to hear, what is that one thing that you would want them to take away, that you feel is important enough for them to know?
Okay. Gosh, if it could be one word, it would be to trust. And so I'm going to spring off that one, because one of the things I needed to do is trust myself, trust my own gut, and trust my own intuitions, but also trust others. The big problem for me was a lack of trust for other people. So I felt like I needed to run my own business, take care of my own kids, have my, be the voice, reason, and everything for everyone else. But once I start trusting myself, my instinct, others, that has been a whirlwind of change for my life. I am able to let so much more stuff go. And so that one word would be trust. And then how you do it, it's going to take time. It's going to take patience with yourself. So trust the process, and trust that you will be okay. And that's one of the things someone would have told me I many years and years of crying over different things. And if I would have just trusted my instinct, I would have saved tears. I would have saved time and energy, headspace for sure, if I just trusted myself.
Oh, so good. Thank you, Tanisha,
You're welcome.
Being you, for your brilliance and for your heart and your wisdom that you've imparted to us. You're truly one of a kind, and I appreciate you. And I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to meet.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.